What's going on YouTube? This is Lord Zath bringing you another episode of Zath's Replay Theater. In this episode, we have Invader Zim in a Shimakaze. And, yeah, looks like it's gonna be an interesting battle here. Invader Zim I've played with a few times, member of STW. And, that's Sun Tzu's Warriors, so I know them quite well from the recent contest that we did. That was a lot of fun and kind of got me on this little kick for doing these videos. Um, so yeah, I was looking at all the videos I've uploaded, and it seems that I'm kind of most lacking in destroyers. Well, aircraft carriers, of course, but destroyers of the three more populous classes, I guess you could say. Not to say that carriers don't exist or anything like that, but when it comes to replays sent in to me so far, vast majority are for cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. So let's talk about the Shimakaze. And by the way, if you sent a Shima replay in and it's not being featured, don't be upset. I've got like 5 of them. So for some odd reason, everybody seems to want to show me a Shima replay, and I don't quite understand. But hey, whatever. Everybody likes the ship, I guess. So Shimakaze's got a few things going for her, right? One are these guns. A lot of people disregard these guns. And if I know Invader Zim, he's going to make good use of them. The main feature, though, are these torpedoes. 3 launchers, 5 torpedoes each. I'm not quite sure which type of torpedo Zim is running. I have a feeling that if I brought the UI up and you looked at that time reload, you'd immediately know the answer. I don't play Shima enough to really be able to tell you. My guess is he's playing with the 12-kilometer torps. So, flags. Very interestingly enough, there's only a couple flags here. I'm kind of shocked. We see the Zulu flag, that's for 20% extra credit gain, which helps to offset the cost of Tier 10. We see this flag here does 10% less cost for post-battle repairs, again, offset the cost. And then we see Speed flag, which makes perfect sense. I'm kind of surprised that I'm not seeing some other flags on this ship, like Juliet Charlie, the anti-detonation flag. Or I'm also not seeing like the fire flags, which might be pretty useful. And I'm not seeing some maybe XP boost flags or something. I don't know. But c'est la vie. And I think one thing that's kind of important to note too, as we start the game, is that you don't necessarily need every single flag in order to do well in this game. As a matter of fact, I've had plenty of games where I ended up MVP, top of the scoreboard, no flags, 0-point commander, because I derped and forgot to assign my 19 points. So it's the player more than anything else. And speaking of the player and the commander, let's take a look. One thing to note is this up here means radio location. So, very common thing that destroyer captains will do is they will run radio location as a way to see where their nearest competition is. Typically, that's the enemy destroyer, but of course, it could be another ship too. So, and Mr. D-Dog says he's brought the wrong destroyer. Well, maybe. Honestly, I think a Shimakase is a pretty strong ship in this kind of situation. But I digress. So Zim's got a few other destroyers to deal with. FMO Clan, I've never heard of that before. That's kind of hilarious. It's basically 444, okay? Radar-wise, there's only 2 radars on the enemy team. Donskoy has long-range radar that's short duration, and New Orleans has a shorter range radar but longer duration. Whereas on Zim's team, there's a Baltimore with radar and a Donskoy with radar as well. So a slight radar edge goes to Invader Zim's team. And we're looking at this map. This map is Loop, and it's very common that you have a team go BC, like what's happening up here, and you'll have a team go AB down in the south. So you end up with this kind of clockwise circle jerk action that's very common. And we're about to see the first launching of the torpedoes. Everybody celebrate! Yeah! So let's see just exactly what happens to Izumo. Now, he is definitely running 12-kilometer torpedoes, and you can see that on the circle there on the mini-map, the Hindenburg is just outside their range. But keep in mind that in the time it takes for those torpedoes to reach their target, the Hindenburg, of course, is going to move forward. Kid is doing... I don't know what the heck the Kid is doing. You see that Zim is located, which means that there's a destroyer near him. So he's got to be careful, right? Pause for a sec. Look at his positioning. Look at these two ships. Now, if the enemy is a Shimakaze, then what's probably going to happen is these two battleships are going to see torps coming this way. Zim is in the front of this. A couple things to know about that. One is when you put yourself in that position, you have to be ready to dodge torpedoes on a moment's notice. And we don't know if Zim is running vigilance or torpedo armament or target acquisition model to help detect torpedoes from a farther distance, but you know, if you're in that spot, you have to be ready to dodge. The other thing too, of course, is that helps the team, because if he's detecting torpedoes, then obviously the Montana and I will get a little bit extra time to dodge and adjust accordingly. Alright, so Zim's team is mostly going strong for B. That's a very high risk, high reward kind of play. So we'll see what happens. Oftentimes, the team smashes themselves into B and they get surrounded by both sides. Or they smash into B and just smash everybody else around. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And the Hindenburg has turned away, so those torpedoes are probably not going to do anything. And Zim is trying to hit the C key to find... Oh, almost. Very, very, very close. And there it is, our Shimakaze, which is either picked up by Baltimore radar or, for whatever reason, is not running concealment expert. That's kind of weird. And see what I mean? He's detected those torpedoes, and now, let me flip over to the side, that Iowa's got that extra bit of time to respond and react. That's a very strong team play moment. And Zim is, not surprisingly, looking at that Izumo and thinking, food. Food. Yes, food. Feed me. And the Izumo is also playing the typical bow in reverse play, which is very easily countered. Anyway, another set of torpedoes detected. So that means that there's a second destroyer out this way. And because it's a quintuple launch, so 5 torpedoes, it's probably a Shimakaze. Hey, look, it is. It's another Shima. And look, Zim is not afraid to use his guns. A little bit of lag there in the replay. Apologize for that. But this is important. Notice how the other Shima hasn't used his guns at all, right? He's basically said, "Well, I'll just hide." And nice, couple torps on the Azima, and flooding, which means I'm sure what he's going to do is he's going to turn and start shooting his guns to set him back on fire. Wait, nope, he's outside of range. He can't do that. And the Kid goes down in the weirdest positioning ever. Why is he there? Whatever. It's a frustrating aspect of the game sometimes, is when you have people that pick up premium ships. They buy their way up to tier 8 or so, even 9 now with the Missouri, and they just don't know how to play the game. And we don't know if that's what the Kid is like or not, but still, you know, that puts you at a bit of a disadvantage. I remember when the Tirpitz was first released, we called it the Turpocalypse, because you hit tab and all you see is Or maybe a tier 10 ship, turpits. It's just stupid, the number of turpitses that were there. And a whole lot of them did stupid things too, like, you know, not turning. So, Shimakazes loved it. More torpedoes detected. I have a good, strong feeling that Invader Zim is running Vigilance because it seems like he's the one who's detecting these torpedoes. And I'm not sure why he's pushing in so hard here. He's going to get spotted by this Izumo, but I guess he just doesn't really care. He's looking at his marker, and his marker is telling him that there's a ship that's closer than... Maybe that's what happened. He thought there was a ship that was closer than the Izumo. The Baltimore is doing some weird things. There's the Shimakaze. Now might be a good time to hit the smoke. There it is. Interestingly enough, Zim is not using priority target. And that's a skill that I've gotten in the habit of using. Japanese steel folded 10,000 times. Wow, that was a hard penetration. That's what she said. So anyway, and the reason why I like using priority target is it tells me how many people are shooting me, so I know if I'm, you know, just how effed I am, I guess you could say. And I don't know. I think Zim didn't need to take that damage, right? He could have just torpedoed the Izumo, but with that Baltimore charging like it did, maybe that's what screwed him up. He wasn't able to get shots in there. One thing I want to note, Zim's not really communicating with his team at all, and I think it would help a bit if you were to communicate with them. You know, just kind of say what's going on, what he's seeing, hitting F3, saying, "Dude, shoot this Shimakaze," like just things like that. I think might have helped. Right now, the battle is 50-50, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Oops, Shimakaze's right there. Probably going to kill that Kerr first. Of the STFU clan. It's a cute name. Sounds for shut the frack up, I guess, right? And... Hey, this is Dotzer. Oh, boy. One other thing I want to comment on earlier is when I made that comment about glorious Japanese steel. You noticed the Izumo hit him at an angle. That's one thing you have to be careful of when you're being shot at by battleships with AP, is that if you are completely facing away from them, the AP shell can penetrate essentially your entire ship. And when it does that, it does a ton of damage. Nice job on the Kerr first there. And when it does that, it really hurts, as we saw. I'm surprised that the Ibuki has failed to kill the Shimakaze. That's disappointing. You can see that Zim is now engaging his speed boost, or Spood Beast, as one of my clan mates likes to call it. And the nice thing about that is, look at his speed. I mean, it's not as fast as Kabrusk, but it's damn fast anyway. So I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get into A cap so he can get the cap quickly, because he's noticing his team is starting to kind of fall apart a little bit. You got ships that go off on their own and do dumb things, like that Kerr first that just got killed. This Montana is probably going to get focused by everybody and go down relatively quickly. And then, of course, there's the question of where the Shima is. Because of the Shima's positioning, I would be surprised if torpedoes are going to land right about here. So you guys watch the Montana, watch about here, and that's my prediction for torpedoes. Monty got a good hit on the rear of the North Carolina, and now he's turning. And with the Montana in that cap, it might actually slow down Zim's progress, I should say, towards capturing. But that's okay. Zim still... Hey, look, torpedoes! Zim is using, the radio location to determine where the nearest ship is, and you can see that because it's constantly pointing at the North Carolina, it is most likely the fact that the Shimakaze has most likely looped around north and gone this way. And it shifted. You see that? It just shifted. It just shifted to the Hindenburg, which makes sense because the Hindenburg is closer than the North Carolina. And we see some random torpedoes. Those are the torpedoes that I called out earlier as a possibility, so the Montana dodged them, which is good. And of course he's looking at them and he wants to make sure he knows kind of where they are, where they're going. These are 20-kilometer torpedoes, and these are, the thing about 20-kilometer torpedoes is that they go forever, right? They get detected from space almost, because people cried about them so much. Oh God, look at this. And the thing is, because of that, because of all that QQing, we see that these torpedoes are detected from all over the place, even though they're incredibly slow moving. But the thing that people don't understand with them is a lot of times people will spot them, and they won't even pay attention to them. They'll be like, the torps will fizzle out, and then they'll just sail right in front of them. And then the torpedoes hit them, and then they die, and then they complain, these torpedoes are OP, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, they were detected. You saw Zim. You saw how much care he was giving towards those torpedoes to make sure that he didn't run into those torpedoes. Now, he's got torps coming out on 2 different curve firsts. Looks like that curve first is stopping, which means his torpedoes are going to miss. So now it's time to slow down, smoke up, and pew pew. And I think that's probably a good idea. Because, really, there's not much else that's going to shoot this curve first other than the Donskoy. And the Donskoy isn't exactly in the best of positioning. If you look at it, he's kind of giving a broadside. And looks like your other torpedoes missed the curve first. That is unfortunate. He probably backed out of range of the torpedoes there, so that happens. And now we're kind of in a pretty bad spot here. Montana just died, got flooded out. The Ibuki is still trying to find the Shimakaze. Now, one thing about radio location that a lot of people don't realize, is the fact that it's a two-edged sword. So here we see he's detecting the curve first, right? It's the closest thing. But from the curve first point of view, there's a little thing up here that says located. And why that's so important is because it kind of gives you that alert that somebody is using radio location, and that somebody is typically going to be a destroyer. So if you see somebody like that, and you're suddenly located, that's something to think about is, well, where could this destroyer be, right? Now, Zim did a nice job here. He launched 2 torpedoes and held that 3rd salvo. And he held that 3rd salvo for a very important reason, because most captains will immediately DCP, hit the repair button, on a torpedo, and then if they hit all 3 torpedoes, boom, the guy still lives. In this case, he held on to that last set by a few more seconds so that this curve first would be forced to hit the damage control party, which he just did. Now he's back on flooding again, and he's dead. That's it. He can try to hit repair party and save his ship a little bit longer, but it doesn't matter. He's still gone. And you can see that right now. See his hit points? It's going back up and it's coming down. It's going up and then coming back up and then back down. And that's because he's got repair party going. He's probably going to kill this Ibuki in the process. How much you want to bet? Meanwhile, surprisingly enough, the Ibuki didn't go for the kill steal. Got a lot of that happening at times. Alright, 130,000 damage so far. Shimakaze is shooting at the Ibuki. Ibuki goes down. 4 on 2. So, all 3 caps. That's strong. That's powerful. Actually, you know what? Let's pause this for a second. So let's take a look at the situation. Iowa's dead. And the reason I could say that, can we look over at Iowa? Yeah, Iowa's dead. 2 things. One, of course, the Kurfürst has the same hit points as the Iowa, or same percentage of health. Alright, the Iowa's moving away, which means that the Iowa's basically, right now he's got a decent broadside shot of the Kurfürst, but the Kurfürst will turn in, chase after him, and probably secondary the crap out of him, because I'm pretty sure he's in secondary range. And not only that, but shooting in from the rear of the Iowa doesn't have that strong of armor. So, Shimakaze, we know, was last spotted up here very recently. And we got Hindenburg and North Carolina over there. So, here's the deal. Iowa dies, Kurfürst takes C. North Carolina goes into A, takes A. Hindenburg goes, takes B. We go from, we're winning, even though we're low on ships, to gaining no points at all, and then all 3 caps red on the enemy team. So what Zim needs to do is a lot, really. Zim needs to take out these 3 ships in order to have a chance at winning. It's a tall order. But let's see what happens. So, torpedoes come up, and Zim is predicting... Looks like he's predicting a turn. Remember, the Hindenburg knows he's located. So the Hindenburg knows. Oh no! See, radio location just shifted, so now we know the Shimakaze is north. Notice this. Zim noticed that immediately. Now he got his fish off as quickly as possible. No longer does it matter taking your time to line up the shot. Get the torpedoes out and get your guns in position for a gunfight, because you know you're going to go up against this guy. And I do apologize for the lag here. I'm not sure what's happening. Hey, I called it. He must have gotten Citadel up the rear or something like that. Anyway, so Zim needs to dispatch this guy quickly and hope that his torpedoes that he fired will kill the target. We might be looking at a solo warrior situation, guys. Now remember solo war... Nice. Solo warrior is when you kill... when you're the last ship left and there's 4 enemy ships or more on the enemy team and you still win. Very, very difficult achievement to attain. By the way, look at those torpedoes. All 3 torpedoes were launched at Zim. And what that means is that Zim was able to push into the smoke without any concern. He knew he was safe. Take a look at the score, by the way. Or the time. 2 minutes left in the game. He's already being congratulated by his team. Well done. The Kurfürst at this point is going to go Cap C, but it's probably not enough time. 2 minutes to make up that point deficit? Probably not happening, but you can see how Zim is closing the gap. He wants to make one last shot on this North Carolina. Maybe some would say he's getting greedy, but the way I look at it, he wants to make damn sure that he's going to get his solo warrior. And you can see the North Carolina now probably not going to bother slowing down or changing course. He's just screaming into B because he knows that's probably the only way that he's going to get any sort of impact on the game. And you can see people are saying, dude, don't get greedy, hide, blah, 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 you know, that sort of thing. But you know what? He's playing it well. The North Carolina knows that he's located, right? He knows the Shima's closest to him. So there you go. 1 minute left. And you can see that... What is the North Carolina doing to his turrets? Looks like he's turning them all the way around. Anyway, 1 minute left. This is most likely a win. So I just want to say this is a pretty awesome replay, Zim. Thank you for sharing with us. It's pretty cool that... Nice! And a Kraken, and a high caliber, and a devastating... Okay. Thank you. It's nice watching some really kick-ass destroyer play. I don't play destroyers a ton, so I apologize if it seems like I'm not giving you a lot of feedback, because to me, I don't know a ton of this either, so I'm just trying to learn while everybody else does. So, guys, thanks as always. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever, and send me your replays. Show me your games, and let's learn and let's explore. All right, good game, man. And that's it. See you later.